Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Engine Room podcast brought to you just for a change by tokenmetrics.com. My name is Dylan Love, and we are joined today by my colleague, Mr. Mehdi Farooq. Mehdi, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for having me.
So excited to talk to you a little bit, get to know you, and learn about how you do things at Token Metrics, as well as your involvement at Token Metrics Ventures. I think there's a lot to talk about, but I think let's begin by talking about how you came to discover crypto in the first place. What's your crypto origin story?
Yeah, so my crypto origin story actually started in 2020. So in 2020, COVID happened, and I flew back to Pakistan from Nottingham University, where I was doing my master's. So before that, I was an equity analyst and a global macro analyst. So I saw opportunities in the market. So uh, so I thought I should invest in stocks because stocks appeared very cheap. Now I wanted to invest, and I there was an interactive broker. Uh, like you can't invest in Pakistan directly, right? So you have to invest through interactive broker, which is I think a firm in US. So I filled out the application, and since there was a lot of volatility during March 2020, my application wasn't accepted, and it got accepted after a month, just to buy stocks. And I was very disappointed. I was like, uh, this was a once in a generation opportunity. Like you could have bought the dip, and you could have gone with it. And I was disappointed. I was like because of my nationality, these are all of these red tapes that I have to like go through. So during that time, I started researching, and I discovered a project called Synthetics, and there was also a project called Mirror that was trying to do make synthetic asset like synthetic equity, synthetic crypto commodity in crypto, and anybody in the world could get exposure to that, and you don't have to fill out any application. So for me, that was an aha moment where I saw that application for crypto could be very, very interesting. And then I didn't take it out as professionally, and I thought, okay, this is still a very interesting vertical, and it will solve a lot of people's life. But this was my introduction to crypto. So in 2020 summer, when I was working full time in a global macro research firm, DeFi summer happened. You could do lending and borrowing. Synthetics also came to foray, and I was like, okay, this is a very interesting space. There are asymmetric returns and opportunities here, because I discovered synthetics, and I saw synthetic price doing like 7x, 7 or 8x, and I thought this is no brainer. Like if I want to make generational wealth, this is the sector I should be working at. And from there onwards, as a side hobby, I started doing crypto, and I did part time crypto with Masari as a hub analyst, and and got a full time offer at Token Metrics, leveraged some of the learnings there, and some of the learnings with my own endeavors in terms of researching different protocols, and applied at Token Metrics, and got the offer.
Yeah, beautiful. Tell the people your job title. Describe exactly what it is you do on a daily basis at Token Metrics. Besides, run the research team is a big part of it, but there's more to it than that, of course.
Yeah, so at the moment I'm in the management role, so coordinating all the research resources we have at Token Metrics between departments. So let's say marketing, let's say operations, let's say HR, but more interestingly, venture arm of our which is a separate arm, separate from Token Metrics entity, but we leverage some of our research resources at venture arm, where we some of the research we do at Token Metrics, we leverage those resources to kind of discover early stage projects, and after analyzing those projects, if it comes under our thesis, if the team is good, we typically bet on them. At the moment, we haven't found any to bet on, but we have discovered few that we initiated our conversations with, and Token Metrics research helped a lot in that process.
Sure. Could you talk in general about what kinds of things you're looking for when you find these early projects? How do you appraise them for potential investment? What makes them good? What makes them bad for investment?
So it depends on the stage of investment we are at. So let's assume it's a seed A investment. So seed A investment at the moment in crypto are very hot. You have thousands of VC, hundreds of VC chasing the team. So let's say when team's Twitter account is not there yet, investors will just come in and ask the founder, "Can you have my money? And I want to invest in your project." So it's preferred that you are very structured in your thinking. So first, you have a thesis. Like, what's the core thesis? What are some of the trends I see in the market that will allow me exceptional returns in next 3 to 5 years? So your thesis could be based on where the industry is heading. So that's the first area. The second area is, let's say, if you find a project that matches your thesis. So let's say my thesis is NFT infrastructure will be big, or NFT plus DeFi would be big. I identify a project that is working within that vertical, and then I look for a founder market fit. This is one of my key variables I look for. So, for example, a founder market fit would be somebody who naturally had the inspiration or the aspiration uh, to start this project. It's not just because they found asymmetric return opportunity in the market. They were investment bankers, and now they want to sell NFT or make NFT project. That tells me they're just in it for money grab. Uh, so for me, that's the major criteria. And 70% of the evaluation process of the project is team. Whether the team can ship, whether the team knows about the competition, whether the founder has a good founder market fit, and what valuation they're raising at. That will be another factor. So those will be, I would say, 70% of the drivers in selection of investments if we bet on a particular project.
Do you have any exciting, interesting, or controversial opinions within various sectors within crypto, DeFi, infrastructure, gaming? What are your contentious points of view? What do you believe that you're willing to argue about?
I think at the moment DeFi is a casino, and a lot of the value accrual is BS. Uh, Even though some of the innovation that has happened are mind-boggling, it is the future. But the way it's structured at the moment, I think, uh, yeah, it's just a complete casino. Like, nothing is structured. There's no proper value accrual mechanism. People are chasing yield, and majority of the benefit accrues to either the MEV, which is those people who extract. Uh, so MEV is minor extractable value. So these people can
Mhm.
arb away some of the price differentials and yield differentials when they're producing blocks and they're arranging transaction. So they benefit the most, and L1 benefit the most because of all the casino that goes in DeFi. So that's one of the theses I have, that in DeFi I want to see a very, very direct value accrual, and there are not many projects that do that. Uh, the thing I'm bullish on DeFi are two things, like composability, like interesting way of one project building on top of another project. So one example would be convex finance and Curve. Uh, and the second area I'm very interested in DeFi is one would be synthetic products, but it comes under the umbrella of structured products and options and derivatives. I think that's what kick finance off, and I think this is a big area and big area of opportunity. So those are the two areas I think a lot of alpha can be made, but rest of the areas in DeFi I think at the moment are casino. Now NFT,
Mhm.
I also I get it why some of the NFTs are expensive. I get like some collectibles and arts and painting are expensive, but I think 90 to 95% of them, I think this is also kind of like a market view, shouldn't be worth what they're worth at the moment. It's all hype, and I think the best way to play NFTs will be through infrastructure, NFT infrastructure. So NFT marketplaces like OpenSea, or secondary marketplaces, let's say. Um, Music-based NFT platform. There was a project called Pianity I was speaking with. They've created a platform where artists can sell their music as NFTs. So that, I think that you have a very, like, you can take an index level exposure of the whole NFT and not have a concentrated bet on, let's say, one punk or one ape or one music record doing really well. Uh, Apart from that, I'm a big fan of layer ones. I think
Uh-huh.
people in the public market, I don't think majority of the people, and also retail, do not have any advantage. And the best way they can invest is through exposure to layer one. So whatever happens on top of it, whether it's casino and DeFi, casino and NFT, all of these casinos have to pay gas fees, and that gas fees is accrued to holders of these L1 tokens. So if uh, some of our audience who are listening this, just think of it like this, right? Apple and Google, They were platforms and they did really well for long period of time. So you don't have to bet on the next big app. You don't have to bet on a killer app. You can just bet on a platform, and there's so many platforms out there. You can make like a composite basket and just do index level investing in crypto. So things like Solana, Near Protocol, Ethereum, uh, Cosmos, Avalanche. You can make a basket of them and basically DCA over the period of time. And I think that for a retail investor, that should be the strategy forward, because I think the design space for layer one, I think this would be it. Like these are the chains that will accrue majority of the value at least next 5 to 10 years.
So, how are you thinking about the market as we are about to end the first quarter of the year? What kinds of moves should people be making throughout the rest of 2022? Are we in a true bear market? How do you think about this stuff?
Yeah, it's good to think of these stuff like from a macro perspective. I typically tend to avoid them. Uh, like you can argue that, let's say, nobody knows in this world where the market are heading next day. So there are two types of investors, like three types of investors. Like one is a trader, one tries to time the market. I'm more of a fundamental investors. Like regardless of where the market, what the market is doing, I tend not to be distracted by prices. I know prices can go up, prices can go down. My first structured way of thinking about crypto is what's my thesis. Like if my thesis is being played out. Now, Fed will increase rate, decrease rate, but if my thesis is playing out, uh, that should do well. So I particularly don't want to comment on market because of like I don't know where they're heading. It can go up, it can go down. Nobody knew COVID would come. Nobody knew inflation would get this out of hand. Even some of the people were predicting inflation will get out of the hand, but it's because of the Ukraine and Russian crisis that it went out of the hand. So I feel like this is not where my edge lies, and it's also a very introspective exercise to kind of think about what is my edge. I think my edge is about like what are the things that can do well in 3 to 5 years, and betting on teams and identifying those teams that basically will help me play out those theses. That being said, I think uh, I think we're heading towards a global recession. Like that being said, I think we are heading towards a global recession, because typically when oil prices have been more than 90%, not 90 dollars per barrel, um, uh, the increase the probability of recession happening globally increases to 50% to 50 to 60%, and both oil importers and exporters through different channels will face the consequences. Uh, but regardless of what happens in macro, I'm a long-term believer in crypto, and I think it is the asset class to be invested in, and I think it will outperform every other asset class out there.
So, with all that crypto talk already out there, what kinds of things are you into when you're not trading crypto, talking about crypto, thinking about crypto? What are your hobbies outside of this world?
Yeah, I enjoy cricket. I really love cricket. So I can watch a test match for 5 days.
Wow, wow.
So in cricket, you can have test matches for 5 days, but you also have T20, which can last for 3 hours. So if I had the opportunity, if I have the time, uh, I can watch cricket for 5 days. I also love hiking, going on mountains. I've been to northern Pakistan a lot of times, and one of my things in my bucket list is to do a base camp in K2 base camp. So that is something I enjoy, and I think I might take in a few weeks might take a vacation to actually go there and just chill for a bit, kind of de-stress myself, and then come back to the market. Um, yeah, I think those would be the two things I enjoy. I'm also passionate about productivity hacks and
Mhm.
biohacking, like how I can live longer, like let's say let's say more than 80, 90 years, and also how I'm always thinking about how I can increase my productivity and just be a productivity machine. Like that is something uh, kind of a geek about. So those
Sure. Can,
those
can
were
you share like a basic productivity hack for the
Yeah,
audience?
so I don't know if you can see this device like Pandora box. So I use this timer. So so what I do is I keep 30 minutes, and this timer helps me focus for 30 minutes. So let's say 30 minutes reading. After that, I'll stretch and take breaks. So that is one productivity hack that has prevented me to do I prevent procrastination. Also, Al- also, I one of the hacks that my previous mentor told me to become a ferocious reader and just accumulate a lot of knowledge is just to read a lot. So I tend to read a lot, and I tend to go past that phase where my head starts hurting. So on purpose, if my head starts hurting, I'll push myself 10, 15 more minutes. So just like muscles, I feel like our frontal lobe also kind of responds to that kind of a pressure. So that is one advice. Yeah, one advice that has kind of helped me with my productivity. Also, a few other things like cold shower, uh, intermittent fasting, um, having turmeric in your food, and different types of
Uh-huh.
berries. All of these things will help you with your productivity and help you become smarter or sharper. Also, one hack is, let's say, when you start your day, just have a lot of bright light. So your endorphins and your neurological hormones in your body, and stuff that goes in your head, they become more alert. Like you become more alert, and
Uh-huh.
you can become more productive. And counterproductive is when people say in night over the like when nights, like let's say when the day is fading away, you should decrease the light, not just blue light exposure, like overall light exposure, and allow your natural processes of being creative. So I use the nighttime or the late afternoon to be creative, and dim the light, and automatically helps me. And when I wake up, I want to do the most non-creative and most how should I explain it, like things you don't enjoy and you just want to get it over with, like admin type of work, administrative type of work.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
so that
Eating the frog. You've heard the phrase eating the frog?
yeah, I have.
Eat the frog first thing. That's what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
uh,
Cool.
so those are some of the hacks.
Well, very good, man. Do you have any parting thoughts? Maybe we can talk about the 100X show a little bit. If you guys are, do you like Mehdi? You're into what he's talking about. You want more crypto analysis and insight from this guy? Talk to him about the 100X show, Mehdi.
Yeah, so 100 extra has been to a good start. We have had guests and founders from all different verticals of crypto doing amazing things. Um, we have also recently launched a new 100x show series, just to target investors, to kind of spread the thought leadership with different investors out there, and also retailers out there who are trying to invest, on how these big investors kind of think about the space, and how they can leverage their thinking to basically allocate their portfolio. So do check it out. I think there is a lot of wisdom on both front of 100x show, 100x show for the project founders, and 100x show for investors and thought leaders. So do check it out.
Perfect. Any parting thoughts before we wrap this thing up, Mehdi?
Yeah, just eat healthy, exercise, read a lot, write a lot, and be happy.
You heard it here, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Engineering Podcast brought to you by TokenMetrics.com. Our guest today has been Mr. Mehdi Farooq. He's the Director of Research, my colleague at Token Metrics. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.